Of the big three free agents the Dodgers could pursue, what about Jacob DeGrom? The Lakers win their third straight game as they try to flee their own personal dumpster fire, and UCLA basketball. It might be a little bit more hype than results. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelino's Morning Report. It is November 21st, 2022. It is a glorious time not just to be an Angelino, but to be an American, despite the fact that FIFA chose to drop its most prestigious events in one of the most turd-laden countries on the planet. So my wish today, we put aside our personal differences, we have a beer, because after all, they don't have that in Qatar, and, just celebrate this ideal of what we want this country to be. So if you like the content that we put out, by the way, about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. It's why I created the show in the first place. So before we get through the news and notes, quick look at the scoreboard. Matthew Stafford passes for 2 touchdowns, then leaves with a possible second concussion. The Rams lose their 4th consecutive game, this time to New Orleans, 27-17. There's a recap of that game on the Rams playlist. Compelling game at SoFi last night. The lead changes hands twice in the final 2 minutes, but the Chiefs get the last laugh at the Chargers' expense, 30-27. Is it possible that the Lakers are starting to figure things out? They've won 3 in a row. They knocked out San Antonio last night, 123-92. I don't know, but I will say this. It is kind of easy to figure out you're supposed to get Anthony Davis the ball. 30 points, 18 rebounds. And number 8, UCLA basketball. They came to Las Vegas to play one of those early season mini tournaments against 2 ranked teams. And then they lost them both. Baylor took out the Bruins yesterday, 80-75. The Bruins are 3-2. We are waiting to find out how far they have dropped in the rankings. Meanwhile, today, Utah's in town to play the Clippers. We have no idea if Kawhi Leonard or Paul George will play tonight. Now, we talked about Aaron Judge. We've talked about Justin Verlander. But what about Jacob DeGrom, last seen flaming out over in Queens? I want to give you 2 reasons why this should not be considered an LA target. See, 2 years ago, the Mets were sold to this guy, super wealthy, obviously, and his stated goal was to replicate LA's success. Now, time will tell if the Mets will ever figure out how to build a minor league system, but they sure as hell got it right with DeGrom. DeGrom is arguably their second most successful homegrown pitcher, right after Tom Seaver. And yes, I am including better than Doc Gooden because DeGrom stayed away from the coke. Stay away from the happy powder, folks. Got to do it. New York has 2 free agent starting pitchers. Now, it is possible that owner Steve Cohen can only afford 2 of the 3. But I'm here to tell you, there's no way, if your stated goal is to match or top what LA did, you are not losing your best pitcher to the Dodgers. You're going to do whatever it takes to keep him. I don't know how much faith we're supposed to have in certain baseball columnists. For example, John Heyman. I trust others more. But he is reporting that the Dodgers, sources are telling him, the Dodgers are focusing more on Aaron Judge than anybody else. Meanwhile, Astros owner Jim Crane said Justin Verlander wants a contract similar to what Max Scherzer signed with the Mets. Now, that one was 3 years for $130 million. Verlander, on the other hand, is 39. Do you really want to sign him for 3 years? Or maybe instead of 3 years for a little more than $40 million each, what if it's only 2 years and you bumped it up to way more than $40 million each? There is a different strategy being employed by Scott Boras, the agent who represents Cody Bellinger. Boras says he wants a 1-year deal instead of multi-year. I didn't see that one coming. Now, he could be lying. That's possible. But it's also possible that the thought could be that if Bellinger gives him anything next year, anything at all, he could then say, see, he's coming back, and then basically screw over another team for a massive payday. Bellinger in the last 3 years has only hit about 195 as an average. What if he hits all of a sudden 260? Do you sit there and you point it back and say, look, that's the signal, that's the big comeback? Apparently, the deciding factor on Tyler Anderson leaving Los Angeles to join the Angels was that Anaheim was apparently willing to add the third year. And honestly, I can't blame the Dodgers for not going that far. Look at their minor leagues. Some of these pitchers have got to chip in at some point. LeBron James missed his fourth consecutive game last night with a left groin muscle injury. Now, here at Faithful Angelenos, we adhere to a very strict let's not talk about men's groins policy. Thank you. But Coach Darvin Ham said there isn't a rush to bring James back. For one, it's only November. And two, Dennis Schrader has returned from injury and he's now running the offense. Not that Schrader is LeBron James, but you're saying, hey, we have a point guard we can rely on. So they can be a little patient. James has not played, by the way, in 12 days. We recently talked about Thomas Bryant also returning from injury and how that enables Anthony Davis to move from center to power forward, which is his preferred position. Bryant is producing. He scored 15 points last night, grabbed 9 rebounds. That was only his second game back. Also, Russell Westbrook injured his thumb during the game. He left Crypto.com Arena last night with it wrapped up. The x-rays inside the gym were negative. It's going to get reevaluated again today. The Lakers will be playing again Tuesday. Hey everybody, it's Mansplain Monday. And in honor of Mansplain Monday, I'm going to tell you something you probably could guess on your own, especially if you're a Bruins basketball fan. Over the weekend, you know what we learned? It's the defense. It's the defense. It's the defense. Other opponent teams are scoring on them at will, particularly in the second half. It's the defense. Friday night, the UCLA Bruins blew a 15-point lead. Yesterday, they gave up 51 points overall in the second half. It's the defense. But it's not just the defense, it's primarily the defense. Remember how we were all giddy over Amari Bailey? How this guy was going to be just one and done and just blow up in the NBA, and we were all going to marvel at that 1 year he played for the Bruins? The dude had only 6 points yesterday. So he may have destroyed in practice, but it's not translating yet into the actual game. Meanwhile, Adem Bona plays defense like he's still overseas. Like he can sit on top of the rim and just swat the ball off the top of the rim. Dude, that's called goaltending here. It's fine to do it over in Europe. The refs notice these things, guy. It's one of the reasons. You know why sneakers are so expensive in the United States? Because they make you jump in them when you play basketball. You can't just hover on top of the rim. 2 elite freshmen for UCLA. They've got to figure it out. Steve Cronin, by the way, is not a stupid man. So he knows this stuff just as well as you and I have just discussed. He's got some work to do, and he knows it. The World Cup is the World Cup, so if you are on the pitch, kudos. But MLS is spinning LAFC's Sebastian Mendez as a, quote, solid contributor when they beat down Qatar yesterday in the first game of the tournament. Now, it sounds great, but was he a solid contributor? Did he score? No. Did he have an assist? No. Did he at least get a goofy haircut or a man bun like all the other elite soccer players? No, he didn't. So Ecuador won 2-0, which is akin to basically saying Mendez didn't F up. And I love soccer, but if by being quote unquote a solid contributor means you didn't make an ass of yourself, maybe we should set the standards just a touch higher. For the record, there is a heavy LAFC influence on the Ecuadorian team. Jose Cifuentes subbed into the game. He's from LAFC. And left back Diego Palacios is on the roster. He just didn't play yesterday. USC football did rise to number 5 in the AP rankings. We are waiting to find out what it means in the college football playoff rankings. Those will come out later today. Now, Corey Foreman, of all people, clinched the victory over UCLA with a last-minute interception. And the crazy thing about it, for a guy who hasn't had a lot of results as a sophomore, he called his own shot. Safety Bryson Shaw said Foreman made plays out of that defensive play call in practice all week long. So they make the call during the game in the final minute. Shaw tells Foreman it's his time to make a play, and Foreman allegedly tells Shaw, I got you, I got you. Foreman said the Trojans knew what type of routes that the Bruins like to run in those situations. So instead of rushing the quarterback, which is typically his job, he would spy on the quarterback, just basically get out of the stance at the snap and go back and play coverage. Foreman has been described as an athletic freak with all the talent in the world, but like I said, he's been silent in his first 2 years over at USC, so we'll see if this is a harbinger. ESPN is reporting that Cooper Kupp is out 6 to 8 weeks after surgery on his ankle. And it kind of brought that to mind when I was reading some Rams blogs this morning. One is called Turf Show Times, and they are already waving the white flag on the season. And honestly, it sucks, but can you blame them with no Cooper Kupp? But they did write something this morning along the lines of, look, the season is lost, but can you at least get the ball rolling for next season by answering these questions? So they have 7 some odd games left. Try to answer some of the following questions. Who's your running back going to be? Is it Cam Akers or Kyron Williams? Can any of the young defensive backs play? Are the wide receivers not named Cooper Kupp overrated? And if so, do you have to rebuild your receiving core? Finally, do they have anything resembling a rush off the edge? Now you tell me, do you have answers for those questions? Are they fair questions? Maybe you have different ones in mind that you would want to ask the defending champs because they're not going to be defending that much longer. I was looking for notes on the Chargers game when I noticed that the San Diego Union Tribune still covers the Bolts. And I have to tell you, this pleases me as an Angelino because it is a written confession from Nick Canepa that San Diego is not a sports town. Never has been. It's about, San Diegans, they have this false sense of superiority, right? Because they're on the coast. They keep calling themselves America's finest city. You cannot be America's finest city and not have a title in any sport. You can't be America's finest city and lose both your NBA team and your NFL team to a city that you love to hate. Nick Canepa just basically validated that San Diego is America's city in denial. Oh, hey, we still have the Chargers. Woohoo. No, you don't. You do not have the Chargers. Get over yourselves. It's time to go seek therapy. You don't have the Chargers. When the Clippers are good, they're not the San Diego Clippers either. You are still a low-grade wannabe LA city. Don't be surprised if LA steals your killer whale just for kicks next. The LA Kings have sent 3 players to their minor league affiliate over in the Inland Empire. Forwards Rasmus Kapari and Elias Anderson, along with defenseman Jacob Movier. It has been a tremendous morning to talk sports with you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments thread. Thank you for watching, Faithful Angelenos. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.